Hi everyone, my name's Coco. Today, in the 6th episode of Venturing Coco, I'd like to tell you how the Qin Dynasty collapsed and how Chuang Tzu, the butterfly dreamer, killed the first emperor of China with 6 Chinese words. The first reason that a Qin dynasty collapsed is that it violates its own principle, which is that rewards must be achievable and punishments avoidable. According to the legalist philosopher Han Fei, a wise ruler creates achievable rewards and codify avoidable punishments. He also says, if a ruler sets goals that are difficult to achieve and punish those who fail to achieve those goals, people's hatred toward the ruler would arise. The Qin dynasty collapses because of a revolt started by junior military officers. Their names are Chen Sheng and Wu Guang. They missed the deadline and shall be beheaded according to the law. And then they discuss among themselves. If we flee, we die. If we revolt, we die. We're going to die either way. So, how about we die for a cause of the nation? In other words, Chen Sheng and Wu Guang are backed into a corner. Sun Tzu would call this kind of situation deadly terrain. And according to Sun Tzu's definition, the terrain where if you fight hard, you survive, and if you don't fight hard, you perish, is the deadly terrain. And later, Chen Sheng and Wu Guang lead a revolt that triggers a domino effect. It's a little bit like Hunger Games, and many more revolts follow. So, the Qin dynasty collapses after just 15 years. I have to say, though, that such tyranny is not the intention of legalism. Legalism wishes to rule with Wu Wei by offering incentives to people. And Wu Wei means imperceptible action. Han Feizi also says, the method of ensuring domestic tranquility should resemble eating when hungry and dressing when cold. Asking people to give up food and clothing despite their hunger and cold is something beyond even the power of brave men like Meng Ben and Xia Yu. Abolishing the natural way is something even the sage king of Shun cannot accomplish. So, when the greedy ruler steals the almost exhausted property of the people will respond, we have none. And when the people have no property, they disregard laws, and policies cannot be executed, goals cannot be achieved. The first emperor of Qin is excessive in his use of resources. I'm actually fine with building the Great Wall because it's making the country rich and armed forces strong. But the construction of royal palaces makes only the royal house rich, not the nation. Likewise, the Terracotta Warriors make the People's Republic of China rich, not the Qin Dynasty. Here is a photo of the Terracotta Warrior Museum. Just imagine the amount of resources going into creating these terracotta figures. And Han Dynasty follows Qin, and their terracotta warriors are much more modest. Those soldiers are about 20 to 30 centimeter in height. So the Han Dynasty did learn the lesson from Qin Dynasty. And so what causes the excess of the first emperor? Well, I would say it's his fascination with eternal life and his drug use. The records of history tells us that he dispatches Han Zhong, Hou Gong, and Shi Sheng to seek the elixir of immortality made by immortals. And another Taoist pharmacologist tells the first emperors that a Homo verus, or true human, would not get wet when he enters the water and will not feel the heat when he enters the fire. He would ride the clouds and then endure as long as heaven and earth. And then the first emperor says, I really admire Homo verus. From now on, I shall call myself Homo verus and stop using the royal we. And the word Homo verus actually comes from Chuang Tzu. He says that the Homo verus in ancient times would not get wet when he enters water and would not feel the heat when he enters fire. So, what does the Elixir of Immortality do? Well, Chuang Tzu tells us a couple of possible effects. For example, ride the clouds and mists, pilot the flying dragon, and roam beyond the four oceans, and surge above the clouds and mists, and carry the blue sky on his back, and ride the clouds and mists, steer the sun and the moon, and roam beyond the four oceans. Well, pharmacology is the domain of Taoism. So these expressions could be describing the efficacy of this drug. And this could be a real conversation between Taoist pharmacologists and the first emperor. The pharmacologists say, this is the elixir that we just created in our laboratory. Only an emperor is worthy of this treatment. And the emperor says, oh, this Homo verus cannot wait. And the pharmacologists say, we call this pill the Dragon Rider. A quarter after you took this pill, Your Majesty will ride the clouds, pilot the dragon, and roam beyond the four oceans. You would soar above the blue sky and become the real Homo verus. You will move the sun and the moon, shift the stars and the constellations, and become the supreme ruler of the universe. And the emperor says, excellent. As for your budget, sky is the limit. So I believe that Cheng Yunqi, Yu Fei Long, or ride the clouds and the mists and pilot the flying dragon are most likely the 6 Chinese words that killed the first emperor. And under the influence of such drugs, he wouldn't be able to govern at all. He would be delusional and paranoid and have all kinds of mental problems. But the fact that he lived to be 50 years old means that he was very, very strong. Other people would have died long ago. And interestingly, no emperor in the Han Dynasty that followed was known for taking drugs. At least none that I know of. I mean, the Han Dynasty has lots of problems, but the emperor's drug use is not one of them. So, the conclusion is that legalism is not enough to make the nation rich and the armed forces strong. This world needs Coco's political theory, and let's call it Taoism. And I will explain that to you in my next video. I hope you can get a chance to watch my TV show. See you next time. Bye.